Hello and good morning, you guys. Welcome to another quick video. I just saw this in my YouTube feed, so I wanted to check it out. This is Richard Murphy, professor of accounting at the Sheffield University Management School, and the title was kind of intriguing. It's called "Will the Trump Bubble Burst Sooner or Later?" I believe this is about that political bubble that built up around him, like the MAGA hype or cult or whatever you want to call them. And oh, what's happening to my OBS? And this is, according to this professor, about to burst or is going to burst in the future. Not too soon from, today. Hopefully sooner than later, as the title suggests. Let's listen to him and see what he has to say, and maybe I have to say a little bit as well. And then I'm going to upload this to a secret second channel, or third channel, rather. See you there.
When will the Trump bubble burst? I'm sure that Trump's bubble is going to burst. And just for the
Certainly
record,
so.
I'm not at this moment talking about a financial crisis that is coming, although I have in other videos. I'm talking about
Before we continue this, he has like a really soothing voice. I like this voice a lot. I hope it's loud enough for you guys. I'm not quite sure if this is loud enough. Can make it a little bit louder. And it's, by the way, it's only 7 minutes, so it's not a very long video. Yeah, this is not about a financial bubble. As I said, it's about a political bubble. And when some of these MAGA cultists are gonna like wake up, and it's going to happen. Most of them, or maybe all of these like hardcore cultists, in my opinion, are still in complete denial. And they will just be apologetic about everything this fucking freak does for as long as they can. But there is going to be the point. I don't know if it's like in a week or in a month or in a year or in 2 years, where people or most people will wake up from this nightmare, and it's gonna happen. It's inevitable. So let's see what he has to say.
political bubble that Trump has created. I'm sure that too is going to burst. Let's remember, all bubbles are built on the basis of two things. The first is hype, and the second is delusion. And Trump has been peddling both of these in his political version of reality, which is anything but that because it's built on fantasy, deceit, and fear. A bubble happens when belief replaces value. In economics, it's when people stop asking what is happening in the real market and start assuming that prices will rise forever. Politically, Trump has done the same. He's convinced millions that cruelty, chaos, and lies represent leadership. But we now know that's not true. In the States, 70% of people no longer have confidence in his form of leadership.
Yeah, I've seen some polls from the United States in the last couple of weeks, and even though in the last couple of months, and his numbers are abysmal. Like his approval numbers are absolutely abysmal. I think you can also already see that some of these like podcasters, like Theo Vaughn, for example, or even Joe Rogan at this point, they start questioning their decision, and they start like questioning the things that are happening, and it's only gonna get worse. Like there are cracks appearing slowly, and these cracks are gonna get wider, and these cracks are, gonna be more apparent to the public and to also the MAGA cult at some point. And I think this is a good thing. It's like a trend into the right direction. It's gonna take a while though.
But the question is, when does that belief system that is sustaining what he's doing break? Trump did not, after all, deliver for America from 2016 to 2020. We know that. If he had, he'd have won the election in 2020, but he didn't. Jobs had not been revived.
Was only stolen, brother.
His tax cuts enriched the rich and drained the state. Debt rose heavily, as far as the US government was concerned.
This, by the way, is still one of the most psychotic lies that are peddled by these people, right? That this election was stolen, which is factually, like, there is no evidence for that, period. And they tried to find and even create, and there is none, like zero evidence. I have yet to see a shred of evidence other than some crazy ass short or clip on like X or whatever, which obviously is nonsensical to show, you know, because it doesn't really say anything about like a stolen election in like a grand scheme. And this is still like a narrative people run with, which is insane. Even like the president runs with it.
And even before COVID, his economic bubble was bursting. The pandemic just exposed it faster. And this time round, Trump is relying on creating an even bigger bubble than he did last time. Tariffs are now seen to be taxes on consumers and not on foreign governments. We're seeing, in the States in particular, that tariffs are wrecking supply chains and raising prices. And that's happening most particularly in Trump's own Republican heartlands. The big question is, when will they, and in particular the farmers in the Midwest, lose faith in Trump?
I think
Because
they're
they relied
doing
on
that already at the moment, right? I've seen so many people talk about that these farmers are getting screwed over at the moment, like hardcore. I've even seen like hardcore Trumpists taking interviews by like MSNBC, CNN, whatever, and they were really, really critical, like as far as they can go, at least, you know, as far as their like brainwashed idea or worldview lets them go. And they criticize their dear leader, which is pretty crazy if you think about it, you know. They would have, like a year ago, that would have been unthinkable.
soybean crops, which they were exporting to China. And the expected quantity of soybeans to be exported to China in 2025 is precisely nothing. Their market has disappeared. He has destroyed their well-being already. In the same way that his tax cuts are fueling division and speculation and not investment or growth, he's breaking down the livelihoods of real people in the USA. And yet, Trump's policies are being mimicked by the far-right leaders globally, with the same hollow results.
Yeah.
30% of people in America still seem to believe in Trump, and that same hardcore is reflected in the support for the far right in Britain, France, Germany, and beyond.
Yeah, and here you can see the AfD from Germany, and they also are peddling the same ideas. They're still like very Trumpy, you know, even though you can see as a level-headed, like normal human being, that this idea of governing doesn't work at all. It only makes things worse for people. Like there's a famous quote from one person from the AfD that was caught on a hot mic once, and I think that really is very telling. And that person on that hot mic said, hopefully Germany isn't doing well, because if the country is doing bad, we will do good, you know? Because if people are in a bad place, they're outraged and they just want change. And then obviously a party like this far right extremist party like the AfD will eventually get votes, and they will make things even worse, of course, you know. Sometimes I feel like we have to go through, as like a society, it's impossible for us to not go through these times, because we have to be reminded of that these like extremist ideas and way of governance make things only worse for the majority of people, you know? But I hope this time we somehow turn around before it gets too bad.
There appears to be this core who will believe are present. But the Trump cult cannot deliver prosperity. It only delivers grievance. And grievance can't sustain this cult. When belief collides with reality, collapse will follow. as bubbles always burst. Trump's self-styled belief in himself, and for example, in the deal of the century that he claims to have forged in the Middle East, is all a mirage. Everything about him is mythology. So, for example, looking at that deal with regard to Gaza, there is actually nothing of substance in it. There's no enforceable peace. There was just a prisoner swap. And it ignored Palestinian reality. His Nobel Prize ambitions now look particularly absurd. This deal will be massively unraveling before the 2026 nominations close on 31st January in that year. When this peace evaporates, so will his global credibility. But so far, the far-right populists haven't noticed. They're still following. Their appeal, like his, rests on resentment and not results. But when it's apparent that Trump can't deliver results, whether at home or abroad, his credibility will decay, and so too will theirs. And that then becomes the critical tipping point, the point when the far-right illusion that's built on Trumpism will fade. I believe that's going to happen.
I believe that in a decade from now, hopefully in a decade from now, we look back on this time when everything goes back to somewhat of a normal, way of life. Hopefully. And this, like the name Donald Trump or the Trump family will not be looked kind upon. I think that these people, like obviously he himself and his family, like all like people who helped him to build this empire, they will not be looked kind upon, and history will hopefully tell a tale of absolute psychopath or sociopath or whatever, like a sick man that took an entire country hostage by creating a cult like the MAGA cult. And I really hope that this is going to be in the history books to read for future generations, because what we're going through is unprecedented for sure.
I believe the Trump bubble will burst, but this is not just about one man. It's about a global ideology of contempt for truth, law, and community that will literally be shattered. And when it does burst, millions will face the shock of discovering that cruelty was never a policy. But this will do something much more important. From my perspective, this will open the chance to rebuild the politics of care and honesty and competence. Markets correct when valuations lose touch with fundamentals, and we face that risk right now. And Trumpism will collapse in the same way, when belief cannot forever defy the evidence that Trump is failing. And the more he blames others,
Man, I really hope
weaker
you're
his
so.
myth
I
will seem
really
to
hope
be.
he's right,
The
dude.
question is not if his bubble now bursts, but when it will, and how much harm he will cause when it does. And if they collapse together, both financial markets and Trump, maybe we will get the chance to build back better. I know that feels like a pretty bleak conclusion to draw, but all bubbles do end. And Trump's economic, political and moral bubble is no exception. When it bursts, it will take much of the global far right down with it. Our task is to be ready to rebuild democracy, ready to rebuild truth, ready to rebuild decency, ready to rebuild from the wreckage that Trump will leave behind him. That's why what I talk about here is so important.
This is
The ideas I present.
This is such a good video. This also gives you a little bit of hope, I don't know this man, of course, and I just like stumbled upon this video, but this is very important, and it really, I'm happy to hear this, to be honest. It gives me hope. It really gives me hope. And maybe it gives you hope as well if you watch this,
Present about the future, and those which others present, because let's be clear, I'm not claiming to have all the answers to every question, are important, because we need them. We need them when the far right disappears, and that may happen sooner than you think. Thanks for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, please do click the like and subscribe buttons because they do genuinely help us spread the word on YouTube. As importantly,
Yeah, I'm gonna
could you have a look
subscribe
at
to
the
this
section
guy.
below this video where it says more, and there you'll find a link to my blog. And if you follow that for the specific link to the blog entry related to this video, you'll find a transcript of this video and lots of other related material, plus a ChatGPT prompt that you could use to write a letter to your MP on the contents of this video, which will turn you into a campaigner, which will be a great thing to do. Finally,
Okay, thank you very much for making this video. We're gonna subscribe to this guy, Richard J. Murphy. I'm gonna like read up on him a little bit. This is the first time seeing him, but this really, you know, made me hopeful. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching it as well with me. It's another short one, of course. I'm gonna try to get some gaming related stuff again into the mix, but I really wanted to check this out. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Cheers. Fuck Donald Trump.